Hey, Ripley,
Hi, how are you?
we are
Hey,
fantastic.
Awesome.
you caught us. Oh, yes. Oh, are you drinking water or is that just all vodka?
It's got water in it.
Okay. Because I was like, I'm joining you. I have rum and ginger beer. So.
Yeah, I have a gin and tonic here.
I have a grapefruit beer from Canada.
Oh, nice. Good
Yes,
rattler.
a good rattler. So we were in Toronto last weekend for my birthday to see Pink. And so on the way home, we stopped at my favorite brewery and I got $108 worth of birthday beer.
Yeah.
Uh, it was awesome. So, you would think that they would like check your car when you're driving back. And they're like, how much do you have with you? And I'm like, I have a case. And they're like, okay, bye. And that's all I had. I was sitting in the back of the car doing fucking calculus trying to figure out how much I could bring back. Next time, I'm just going to bring back like four fucking cases of beer. All right. Like,
Yeah,
whatever.
do it. That's awesome.
It's like
Nice.
trying to figure this all out. I'm like, I could have had four fucking cases and they wouldn't have given two shits.
All right, man. Take your chugs. Last minute
I got
drinks,
my chug.
potty
I'm good.
breaks. We're good. Is everybody
Yeah.
good?
Do you have your depends on?
Me?
Yeah.
I just went, I just pottied.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Can you tell I talked to a 5-year-old all day? Did you just go
No.
potty? Okay. All right. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Do you want to do intro, G-Rex, or do you want me?
Can you still do it? Like if
Yeah,
I laugh too much, I'm gonna cough up a lung.
I got it.
I have a really bad cold from Toronto.
Oh gosh. All right.
Yeah,
Okay. You ready?
ready. We're gonna do our
Ready?
countdown, Ripley.
Okay.
3,
Three,
2,
two,
1.
1.
Welcome back to another episode of Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. Today we are joined with the wonderful Ripley.
Hi. Jazz
Yeah,
hands.
yeah, we need
Yes,
like the
yes.
crowd in the background.
Yeah.
So Ripley, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time just to chat with us about a little bit about who you are.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you for asking me.
yeah, of course. So, what do you want to share with the world about Ripley? Who is Ripley?
Oh my God. I honestly don't usually share that much about myself really. I mean, unless it's songwriting, but
Okay, we can
uh,
jump in there. Have you written
uh
any good songs lately?
I'm in a hardcore band. I front I front a band called Meese, which is an abbreviation which probably will change from time to time. Men are controlling everything. Men are cunts everywhere. Do whatever you
Nice.
want to throw it in there. But so we're sort of queercore, angry, hardcore band, and one of the songs I just wrote is called Bodily Autonomy, and it's sort of crosses over two lines of where bodily autonomy is under attack in the United States right now, with trans rights and with women's rights as well, reproductive rights. So that's super angry song that I just wrote. So, and we're playing our first show this Saturday, and I can't wait to get in people's faces and yell at them.
I love
So,
that. That that hits real hard right now for multiple
Yeah.
reasons. So,
yeah.
is that therapeutic for you to be able to release those emotions through song?
It really is. It really is. Um, and just, it's therapeutic for me. And I know I didn't think this originally because I was just writing these words and putting them out there. But as I was approached in my last hardcore band by members of the queer punk community about how happy they were that I made them feel heard and gave them a space to be able to, vent some of their frustrations as well. So now that's another part of it that's very fulfilling to me, to like just be able to give people a voice if they don't have it.
Yeah. And right now you are located where? In Florida?
In Florida, in Orlando, yeah, we're like a little blue oasis right in the middle of MAGA town.
Right.
So
Yeah, I bring that up because, we met earlier just to kind of hear your story. And I think that that's such an influential part, at least something that hits close for me because we just moved from Florida. And part of at least our reason of leaving was where Florida currently sits and how it doesn't align with our beliefs.
right.
So hearing that you're out there and you're singing the songs and giving voices to people who maybe didn't know exactly what to say, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on staying in Florida versus leaving?
So originally, I was planning to leave when the laws started going in that direction, and I was, I kept putting a line out there and being like, well, if they cross this line, I'm out, and then they kept crossing a line because they didn't. I honestly didn't think they would get there, and I do have the ability to move because the company I work for is based out of Boston, so. When in Massachusetts has very liberal laws regarding gender identity and LGBTQ rights, so it was something that I was planning on doing, and then something after I, what I mentioned earlier about the queer punk community approaching me about what I had helped them with, I decided, this is where the fight is. If I leave, then I leave that void here for those people that need it. So I'm gonna stay for now, and as long as I can, anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that you're there and you're like, helping to fight the fight and giving, the queer community and the trans community like a light, right? Because right now, that light is dimming all around them, and not just in Florida, but there's other states too. And I have to commend you because for like my wife and I, we left South Florida at the height of the pandemic. The writing was on the wall, and I was like, I can't. I couldn't do it. It was the best thing we did was move to upstate New York. Um, and frankly, we live in a very small red town, but they don't bother us here. I mind my business, they mind theirs. But I really commend you for doing what you're doing because I can only imagine how hard it is.
It is, and it's sort of a always looking over your shoulder, and you're walking around with mace at my side all the time, because you never know where it's going to come from. And luckily in Orlando, it's not too bad, but when my last band, Colin Dead, was on tour last year, we went up, and in some states, I think it was South Carolina maybe, that we played a gig there, and there was some overt hate. Nobody really approached me directly, but there was definitely some there, and it was palpable. So luckily, nowhere else that we played was like that, but you see it, and sometimes even in the punk community, and it's kind of disheartening because it's like, that's not why we're here.
Yeah. I'm curious if like when I think of punk rock, right? Like I think of like that always kind of being the purpose, right? Like speaking out for
Right.
those that aren't heard, right? So do you think that your current journey where you are in life now is just like a natural progression? Like I'm just trying to figure out, like, did you pick punk or did punk pick you? Were you always meant to kind of find this as your journey?
So when I was in middle school, I think it was around then I had gotten into SoCal punk, and this is back in the 80s. And then I sort of got really quickly into metal at that point because Slayer, like, jumping from punk rock to Slayer wasn't a big jump. So, and then I found a big voice in metal because thrash metal and stuff tended to be a little more politically aware and left leaning. And so, and as growing up in a very small town like I did, there was not much, there was nobody around. There were like a few kids, that were into stuff, but not a lot around to like go, oh, this is a cool view. Like other than all of the other racist kind of stuff that was going on around you, and growing up with what was going on in my head, I felt like very, very outside of everything, And my mom had traveled a lot when I was young, so I saw the rest of the world, and I was like, okay, this small town I'm in is not the world. Like, there's other stuff out there. So it's sort of like that shaped my worldview, and I just kind of grew. The music grew with me. I've been in and out of several different scenes, like goth scene, the metal scene, the punk rock scene, back and forth, because I have a root in all of those, But um, punk rock, and now doing it, I feel more connected to it. So I don't know. I like this people, like people are mostly friendly. Everybody helps everybody out. It's a good community. Um, so,
Got it.
and we're able to sort of partner up with organizations too that, with Orlando Liberation Front and stuff to help out people that are having a hard time getting medications. And now, Florida not only outlawed trans care for kids, they made it significantly harder for adults to even access care. So, that's another aspect of it.
Um,
Is there
Go ahead.
is there a way for like our listeners to like contribute to some sort of funding in Florida or
Yeah,
around the country?
I would check out if you wanted something local to Orlando, it's more like it's Orlando Liberation Front. Um, as far as statewide stuff, the typical ones like ACLU, and they do a lot of work around, for helping out our community. So offhand, I can't think. I can send you some links to
Yeah.
Yeah, that
We'll
would be
include it in the
great.
show
I
notes.
I want to include that in the show notes and stuff.
okay, cool. All right.
Um, Taking kind of like a quick step back, because as I'm hearing your story, like I feel like to some degree you're providing support to people who don't have that readily available. So I'm curious, when you were growing up, did you have support?
No, I did not. Honestly, it was the late 70s, when I figured out, or when I had this stuff started happening in my head, and I couldn't put a word to it because there just wasn't a word to it. And especially where I grew up, I didn't even have access to information like, how to learn about it, and it wasn't until I was in nursing school in my in my early 20s that I was able to put a word to it because, in a psych rotation, I started learning about it, and I was like, oh my God, there's other people out here like this too. So I think that's when I decided, all right, well, I'm gonna just this is who I've always been. I have a way to express it now. All right, here I am. So um, the goth community was super, super accepting of me at that time. Always this is the late 90s, so um, weird people are always accepted there. And like punk rock scene and metal scene, not so much back then. Now it's a lot more accepting than it used to be, but goth scene always definitely very accepting. So
Yeah. Does that play a part in your beliefs of staying and fighting the fight and providing support or at least understanding to those that don't have it?
yeah, I think it does. I don't think I've thought that hard about my reasonings, but like what shaped that. But I would say, yeah, that the community I've been involved with is something that I want to give back to. So,
Yeah.
and this is the best way I can do it. So,
Yeah.
And do you think that your self-love and self-care comes from like the music you play and how you I, I got my words are all messed up. It's the Mucinex. Just gonna go with
That's
that.
Oh yeah, she's completely drugged up right now.
I'm completely drugged up. Uh, but okay. So when you're playing your music or you're writing it, is that your version of self-love and self-care?
it is, yeah. I've been in several bands over the years, and I think that the last two I was in as a front person have been the ones that really connected in that kind of manner. Because before I never really connected that much. I didn't put a lot of myself into it. It was kind of surface level stuff, and maybe I'd sing about something I was mad about or something, but I never really put myself into it. And I think with these and especially with Mace, I'm putting everything into it. And and that's a big deal because I didn't start going to see a therapist until 2018, and that opened my eyes to all kinds of ways that I was being horrible to myself and other people around me, and being able to look at music through a different lens, like respecting myself, like you said, loving myself, and just being okay being me, has definitely influenced how I use music as therapy.
Yeah.
It's good.
And I think there's such a level of beauty to that, like where someone is naturally figuring out who they are and evolving naturally, like not like I think to some degree for myself, there's always like almost like a mechanic way where I'm like, okay, I want to be this or I want to accomplish this, and finding a way to do it can be a little difficult because it's not natural. So I think there's a definite beauty in evolving the way you're meant to be and it coming naturally. And yeah.
It's hard to be vulnerable, and being vulnerable is something I've always had a problem with because my parents were divorced when I was 13, and I grew up with my dad, and he was not really present all the time, if at all, and definitely not emotionally present. So I didn't really have anybody to sort of show me how to deal with the anger and the frustration and the things that I felt inside. And of course, didn't like myself very much, like my dad was that kind of person who didn't really like himself very much. And he that sort of stuff it propagates to your kids, and so I kind of grew up with that feeling, and I didn't even know that I needed to deal with that, like until everything came to a point where I couldn't ignore it anymore, and I was like, I have to do something about this. And seeing a therapist and having gone through therapy for a few years now, it's a breath of fresh air, to be able to be authentic and not have to, and be able to be vulnerable and be okay being vulnerable,
Yeah.
So
yeah, like
It's funny we were just kind of talking about that, Dirty Skittles and I, because being on the podcast, she's used to not being very very vulnerable, and just being on the podcast has allowed her to be vulnerable and ask those questions. And this is season 3, and I've just seen you grow so much, and
thanks.
my heart kind of beams with pride.
Ugh.
Because I kind of like to bring that out of you.
I don't know what to say to that. I'm like,
because I'm a jerk.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like, as I was listening to you talk, Ripley, I think with every guest we kind of self-reflect a little bit as we're hearing your story. And I remember me in high school, not really, I guess to a degree I still don't really know who I am, but I remember seeing like kids in the punk or goth scene and thinking like, wow, that's like so cool that they can be themselves, right? And they can walk this hallway and not care what I'm thinking, right? Like I'm seeing them and I'm like, damn, like I wish, but like not even really knowing who I was. I just knew that I wasn't that free or vulnerable. And I
Right.
think having gone through therapy now, while I still don't totally know like 100% who I am, I'm comfortable in saying who I am is not knowing yet, right? Like I'm in this space in this moment and I'm getting there. And like being able to be vulnerable in that way is kind of, I don't know why I'm talking about this. I guess to go back to to
Yeah.
G-Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
When I got into metal in high school, for me, a lot of the way I dressed was kind of like becoming a cactus, because I build this wall up around so nobody really realizes how vulnerable I am inside, like look tough and all this stuff, and it's just like, it's ridiculous, Um, um, when I go back and think about that, it's just kind of funny, like how much of it was like what I really liked and what really reflected my style and my attitude towards life and stuff, and how much of it was just because I didn't want people to know what was going on inside. So,
yeah. Yeah, and I think we all kind of wear different masks for that, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, for me it's like more I'll just pretend to be what won't draw attention, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So it's just all different masks. But I gosh, like where you are, like when I think of you and hearing your story and how you're willing to stay in Florida, uh, it's just like mind blowing to me because Bizzle and I, we have a young kid, 5 years old. And, not that, anything has come to light or anything like that. But I remember my pivotal moment of leaving was being in a car with him and he was saying, Mommy, you're so beautiful. And I'm like, well, you're beautiful too. Or no, I said, you're handsome to my son. And he goes, well, I don't want to be handsome. I want to be gorgeous. And I was like, well, you're gorgeous, right? Like just a very simple conversation. And me in that moment, knowing it didn't matter where I was, I just wanted him to be free and being whoever he will be one day. And for us, that wasn't Florida. But
right.
hearing your story, like, I can't imagine anybody not having that support system and being in that state. And I think it's just admirable that you're one of the few that are out there willing to give a voice and fight and stay and not abandon.
It doesn't, like I said, because I live in Orlando, I feel sort of a little bit insulated from it. It doesn't feel like a lot. If I had a kid that I wouldn't be here. There's no way. I wouldn't want to raise them in an environment like this. But for me, it's like I guess I've always sort of been different and been had that sort of looking out for the people around me that might not be looking out for me. It doesn't feel like much, which maybe that's good because I have the ability to stay and sort of insulate from it. But I don't know. I feel like, to your point there about your kid, like there's so many of these expectations that, especially for men, for like the gender binaries, like if you're assigned female at birth, you have to be this way, and if you're assigned male at birth, you have to be this way, and it's all predicated on some kind of antiquated need to reproduce, and it's like and so I feel like the people that are transphobic or whatever, on one hand, they've got this mindset that people assigned female at birth are only there to serve their reproductive needs or something, and there's no other use for it. And if you decide to step outside of that box they put you in, then they're gonna legislate you out of existence. And it's and with trans women, it's like, well, they can't procreate, so they shouldn't exist because if I can't fuck them, then they don't know they're not worth my time.
Yeah. That's
So
crazy. It's crazy just to think about. Like, I'm starting to get angry about it because, like, that
yeah,
to me, it's just like nobody has the right to tell me who I am. Right?
Right.
And like that shit just fucking drives me nuts. I'm like cracking my knuckles. That's a sign. Like me getting pissed. I'm like cracking my knuckles. Yeah, like it's it pisses me off when people think they have the right to tell you who you are or what you're
Right.
worth. Like you don't
And it
fucking
always
have the
comes
right.
from people that aren't comfortable with who they are. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's just projection. And it's like, well, if I can't be who I am, then you can't be who you are. And it's like, you know what? Like a band that I used to like a lot until the thing with Paramore, No Effects, had a lyric in one of their songs like, did you know, like the blueprints for a better world were written on a postage stamp, like I don't fuck with you, don't fuck with me. That's all we have to do is just like
Yeah.
don't with each other, just let people live their lives.
Yeah. Like respect human rights. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
like
As
fucking
long as you're
wild.
not taking away the rights of other people, then why do you care?
Yeah.
Like
Right. Like it's
You, you,
none of your business, literally.
you,
Like it's crazy.
now that I hit the age of 60, I just don't give a shit. Like if you don't like me, I just don't care.
yeah,
I don't have the time for it. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to be who I am. I've been out of the closet for a really long time. I have no desire to go back in the closet. It's not going to happen.
right.
Um,
Good.
and I want to help out those that, are trying to figure that shit out, right? Like just fucking be nice to people, because you
Yeah.
have no idea what the fuck's going on in their lives. You have zero idea. Just be fucking nice. Can we just all work on that? Be fucking nice.
Yeah, for sure. I think the internet unfortunately has exacerbated the problem because people exist on the other side of screens where there's a physical barrier between them that can't be surmounted. So all the vitriol and hate that comes out of people's mouths is so easy when there's no repercussions to it.
It's true.
So I don't know, like in person it used to be, I think people felt like there's if they'd say things like they say online, it's like, oh, well, you might get beat up or whatever, might be some repercussion to it. But now it's like it's so anonymous but unfortunately, like the feelings that you feel when people say those things to you are not anonymous. They're
Right.
very real.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, the internet, the media, like we all say shit behind the microphone that we would never say to somebody in person,
right.
ever.
So I mean,
Yeah.
if I could ask, and I don't know how easy this would be to answer, but thinking back to your younger self, how, I guess, what helped you get to the point you are now? Because you seem very strong and secure and like not, I don't know, I don't want to say weak, but you seem very just self-secure now. How did you get here?
Well, therapy is a big part of that. Um, you know, I came out in 96 as trans, and there wasn't a support network. There was, you know, laser hair removal wasn't really a thing, or it was, but it was like, super expensive. Um, you know, I the job that I worked at didn't have insurance that would help out with any kind of thing like that. There wasn't like a health network. Even you can just go to your primary care and say, this is my thing. Like you had to go through a year of therapy, and you had to go through a year of living as your identity gender for a year before you could even consider any kind of medical transition stuff. And so I just did what I could. I um uh try to live like that, and it worked out for me for a while, just sort of not being fully female, but like being more like androgynous,
Mm.
somewhere in the middle. And I some things happened in the early 2000s that sort of put me back in the closet. It was a little bit my own choice, and a little bit, tired of putting up with society, and Um, and that created a lot of other problems for me, like mentally, and I, had a lot of unhealthy ways of dealing with the frustrations that I had in my head. And I don't think that I ever put my finger on the fact that the reason I was doing these unhealthy things was because I wasn't being myself, or I wasn't able to do that. I didn't feel like I had a supportive environment for it. And you can only do that for so long. And you just get to the point where it's like it all comes to a point and you're like, oh my God, I have to deal with this. And that's what I was saying before, that's when I started going to therapy, and I learned so much about myself in just a couple of months that, weren't even obvious to me. Like my therapist had pointed out a lot of like, my first therapy appointment, I don't even think she got a moment to speak. I was just like blah 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 blah. Just like, listen to me, I have this thing that I'm gonna talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah, and a little ways down the line, she pointed out a lot of things to me that I had been doing to myself and to other people that sort of helped me go, oh yeah, that's wow, it hurt, you know, to be faced with that. But at this point I've gotten beyond it, and I've gotten to the point where, now I love who I am. Like I'm not ever going back to that, going in the closet thing, like that pretending to be somebody else. Like this is who I am. And like, I think earlier in life, I was able to say this is who I am, but I wasn't able to say if you don't like it, then, see ya.
Yeah.
Now I'm able to just go, okay, I am worth more than your acceptance, like I don't need your acceptance. I accept myself. Like that's a
Yeah.
big thing to come up on.
That's
So
huge. That's such a deep, huge statement that, like, oh, I mean, I can't imagine, first of all, ha- not, how do I even word this? Like, I can't imagine having the courage to come out and say, for once, I'm acknowledging who I think I am in this moment. This is me. And then, just kidding, like, kind of go back into yourself because somebody didn't like it, right? Like, I can't imagine living that. So to hear you finally say something like that I'm just like, oh shit, like that's huge. That moves mountains, right? To be like, this is me. I'm okay with it. And if you don't like it, go kick rocks, bro. Like, this is who I'm going to be. And part of me gets worried that we're so close to like that being a thing where it's somebody saying, sorry, that's not who we think you are. And like that
right.
shit scares me. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And the fact that there's no basis behind what they're doing other than their own fears is what makes it even more frustrating. Like every major medical association um, has come out to say, hey, well, just speaking of the gender related stuff, that this is fine. Like, there's nothing experimental about it. This stuff's been going on since the 70s. We know a lot more about it. We're always learning because in medicine and science in general, we're always learning stuff. But it's pretty well researched and accepted medical process now. I don't know where all this came from.
I know. I agree. Like, what the fuck?
It's such a sad state of affairs. And like, I think about people and kids in my community, right? I'm in a very small rural farming community in upstate New York. These kids that are telling their parents they're trans, like, how do we help these kids, right? How do we give them a safe space?
Yeah.
And
How do you make their parents not feel like, because a lot of it comes down to, sorry, I mean to interrupt you, but a lot of parents I feel like are under such pressure to raise the perfect kid, that they're afraid of what society thinks about how they're raising their kids. So they're just going to be like, like, no, get back in the box, get back in there. Don't come out, because if you do, I'm going to look like a terrible parent. It's like the whole beauty pageant culture, like the parents that send their kids to all these beauty pageants, or your kid has to get straight A's all the time, or you're going to be a bad parent. And I think that feeds into it as well.
That's so scary. It's so
it
fucking
is scary. And just always thinking of ways to help the kids out. And, I'm thankful our little library is pretty progressive, so they have a lot of resources for the kids. And Tompkins County, Ithaca, they have a lot of resources. But I think about kids like in even smaller communities. Like, how do we help them? How do we give them a voice? Because everybody deserves a voice.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah, like the small area that we live in now. I mean, it's not small, it's huge, but the neighborhood we live in now, literally right across the street from us is somebody who has a flag for a political party. I'm not even going to say what it is, but I don't agree with it. And I mean, it's huge. It's like you can't miss it. It's right in front of your face. And I remember telling Bizzle, like, okay, so now we need to get a flag so that other people know that, like, we are a safe place. Like, we don't agree with this guy over here and what the fuck he's spewing. Like, this is us. This is our family. This is our beliefs. And, like, if you're going to fucking wave this flag around, like, I can't imagine the kids that are running around and, God forbid, like, any of them are afraid to be who they are. Like, that sucks, dude. Like, that sucks that you have to see that shit every day. It's just crazy.
Down here, it's like this sort of, when you see a Confederate flag or whatever, because those are pretty common down here. It makes you feel weird. You're like, okay. Yeah. But then across the street, there's like an inclusive, like a rainbow flag, and it's like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Just a reminder of how fucked up we are as a world.
Yeah.
God damn. But I think
I respect everybody's point of view, but there are some points of view that just are not helpful for anyone. And even the people that have those points of view, it's like, that's not helpful to you either. Like, come on, get some therapy. I've never seen all had access to therapy, right?
Right? I mean, that's it. Yeah, damn, bro, it's scary. Like, I'm just like, to get back to like the parents thing, like, I think it kind of comes back to putting the right people in charge and educating yourself and not listening to the crazy bullshit that's happening out there. And I think to have like a great kid, it doesn't mean that they're of a certain gender or, that they like a certain kind of person. It's like, are they a good person? Like,
right.
Who gives a fuck about everything else? So,
well, I think, beyond even you being a certain gender or whatever, it's like, even if you're of a binary gender and you're a cis or whatever, and you don't identify as like another one, I think that society's standards of what boys should look like and what girls should look like is so stifling. So and I think that plays into it too. It's like these same parents that we're talking about are like, well, what if my daughter's not pretty like every other, 90% of it, it's like, or whatever this ideal pretty is, or what if my boy is scrawny and not muscly and all this stuff, it's like just these interpretations of what we're supposed to look like. Who said that? Yeah. Marketing companies, right? Yeah. It's all marketing bullshit. It's like, come on, let's stop buying into that.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking of, like, I could hear an accent like, my son's not the star quarterback dating the cheerleader. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. It's so crazy, dude.
Yeah, everybody was growing up was like, people put that in front of you and go, this is what you should aim for. This is what you should be, the prom queen and the prom king, all that stuff, and it's like, it just leaves 90% of the people out of the process.
In the meantime, I'm a catcher eyeing the pitcher, and I'm like, that's my type. No, I'm not conforming.
Right. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But Ripley, I really appreciate you sharing your story and just your resources. Like, and Dirty Skittles. I mean, just for you, getting involved. That is 90% of the battle right there. Like,
Yes.
just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Go to a protest. You meet people at protests. There's a lot of resources there. So
I'm gonna send you a flag.
Me?
Big one.
I
big
have
flag.
one.
yeah.
Oh, I got it.
I'm gonna
girl.
send you a really big flag.
Okay. I'll send you a picture of how big this one is. Let's make it twice as big. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's make it twice as big. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, just to piggyback off of what G-Rex said, Ripley, I thank you not only for just joining us and sharing your story, but the silent hero work you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, and it's coming naturally to you. So I feel like that might sound weird to be like, oh, thanks for being a hero for Florida. But truly, right? Like, there are definite people that you're impacting every day. And just like G-Rex and I'm sure have been both impacted by your story, that there are other people that maybe you don't know about that are listening to your music, that are hearing this particular episode that you're going to have an impact on. So I just want to thank you for what you do. And thank you for choosing yourself in that moment to be your authentic self. So
yeah,
I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me and listening to me ramble.
We need to I'm sure we'll have to reach back out to you just depending on how shit goes in the world. But I would love to hear an update at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Ripley.
Yeah.
It's okay to be not okay. Just make sure you're talking to someone.